Hi, my lovely iHeart Yoga family. This is Dee-Dee Devon of Divine Intervention, Lifestyle and Nutrition Health Coaching, also known as Master of Habit Change, Elsa's mom, and Sienna's grandma. Since we've all been forced to reevaluate our health, I thought this would be a perfect time to share some insights with you on how to improve our health and manage our stress using food. I primarily serve women who are ready to learn to make themselves a priority without guilt or shame, heal their emotional eating, eliminate their dependence on sugar, reach their healthy weight, regain their energy, reclaim their sex appeal and verve for living through natural, sustainable, and a joyous approach without giving up wine, chocolate, or Havarti cheese. As a health coach, the number one question everyone asks me is, what should I eat? And the long and short answer is, I don't know. And the reason is I don't know is because I'm not you. What I eat could be poison for you. There are as many diets on the planet as there are people. And the one diet that works for you is your diet. Unless, that is, of course, you want to gain weight, then I'd recommend any fad diet out there because none are sustainable and you may lose a few pounds in the beginning, but you will eventually always gain more back when the diet is over. I don't know what you should eat, but together we will figure it out. And I have ways and means of doing just that, which does include your age, sex, job, likes, dislikes, allergies, sensitivities, metabolic, blood type, genetics, hereditary, all that plays a role in what you should eat. But that's only one piece of the puzzle. There's also, where are you eating? When are you eating? Why are you eating? And who are you being when you're eating? Everything in our life is considered nutrition. We hunger for love. We hunger for play. We hunger for entertainment. We hunger for creativity. What we eat is actually considered secondary nutrition. Our primary food is our relationships, our spirituality, our physical activity, and our passion, purpose, or career. Food can fill you up, but it cannot fulfill you. But when your life is fulfilling, then food loses its magical, mystical appeal. You eat when you're hungry, you stop when you're full. I am a lifestyle and nutrition health coach, but I tend to talk a lot about lifestyle because how you do one thing is how you do everything. But for the sake and time of our topic today, I'm going to share a bit about how to heal ourselves with the who are you being question around food. The number one needle mover in your health, meaning the number one thing that you can do that changes everything, that has the biggest impact, is managing your stress. If I had a nickel for every time I heard someone say, I don't have enough time to eat healthy, or I don't have enough time to exercise, I'd be a very wealthy woman. But what they're really lacking isn't time. As you know, we kind of have a lot of time on our hands of how many people are really exercising and eating healthy. What they're really lacking is people have no energy for anything, especially when you have places to go and things to say and people to do, but they can barely get through their day, which creates more stress. And when we don't have our health and we aren't feeling good, it's really hard to do anything. It's hard to create the kind of life that we want when you're tired all the time. And even if you did have the time and energy to eat healthy and exercise, and you were motivated, and you had a good reason why, when it comes to disease and healing, food can seem sometimes quite complicated. And the more you read and hear and watch and learn and listen, the more confused and dizzying it can become. And I just want to reiterate, that the first thing to understand is that the food you eat is only one part of the healing formula, which we already talked about is when, where, why, and another way of saying your who is your state. And what do I mean by that? I mean, what state is your body in? Is it in a stress state or is it in a state of relaxation? And it's a crucial question to ask because I want to suggest that the foundation of all healing is moving the body from a state of stress into a state of relaxation. That's the magic right there. As I teach my clients in my health coaching practice, there are 4 kinds of stress that I like to go over with each one of those with you now. First, there's biological and chemical stress. So, in the processes internally in the body, we can experience stress when things are off. So, you might have digestive stress. You might have unbalanced blood sugar that has you feeling amazing and then crashing, feeling amazing and then crashing. A lack of sleep can cause biological or chemical stress. Lack of water internally can cause stress. Lack of fresh air and an unhealthy environment can also cause stress in the body. So that's the first one, biological, chemical stress. The second one is mental and emotional stress. And what is that? That's in our beliefs, in our thoughts, and in our feelings. And the thing that's really interesting about mental and emotional stress is that the way we perceive something is what creates a stress response or can have us feel better. So it's our perception that can have us feel worse or better. And the thing that's happening, the thing that we're perceiving, is actually not as important as our perception. So in other words, the thing that's happening is less important than our reaction to it and the meaning we're making about it. So this is the little something, again, I teach my clients is how our beliefs, or another way of saying our biography, can create our biology. So this is sort of a secret sauce, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. But let's get back to our mental and emotional stress. So we've talked about the way we perceive things, so that can cause us stress or make us feel better. The other thing that really causes us mental and emotional stress is the greatest epidemic of our time, which is isolation. Isolation. And research has shown that loneliness is as lethal as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, and that people need to feel connected. They need to feel belonging. They need to feel part of community. And that's what I love about I Heart Yoga. And that's why it's crucial to get support and accountability around becoming the best possible version of yourself, even if no one around you gets it or gets you. Okay, now for the third source of stress that we experience. We've talked about biological and chemical stress, the processes of the body. We've talked about the second, which is mental and emotional. That's in our beliefs and our thoughts and in our feelings. And the third is spiritual. And what I mean by spiritual is really our sense of connection to that which is greater. All of us, we all have different definitions or belief systems around that which is greater. For some, it's Jesus. For some, it's universe. For some, it's Buddha. Everyone has a different version of that. But whatever your version is, what can happen is we feel as much as we might feel passionate about universe, Jesus, whatever, we can sometimes lose our connection and almost have a crisis of faith, or feel like God has lost my address, or forget that we're never really alone in life. We are always being guided and supported by that which is greater. But when we're having stress, we can feel like we're alone. And of course, that's a terrible, terrible feeling. Okay, let's look at the fourth kind of stress we might experience. And that is structural. Hard word to say, structural. Structural. Don't worry, I don't deal with that one. And that would be in our bones, in our muscles. And some examples of that might be like back pain or neck pain or injuries of, or an external structural stress might be breathing issues. Maybe you have a deviated septum in your nose and it's really difficult for you to breathe. And there's issues that can result from that. So what we have is biological chemical stress, mental emotional stress, spiritual and structural stress. In my health coaching practice, I focus on the first three: biological, chemical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and the structural I leave for chiropractors and physical therapists and people who work with the body in that way. So, back to our topic, how to heal using food. Let's talk about those first three. What's happening in the body when you're experiencing biological and chemical stress? When you're experiencing mental and emotional stress? When you're experiencing spiritual stress? Stress, any of those kinds of stress, is going to affect something called the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system. And you can think of the autonomic nervous system like automatic, because it's the part of our nervous system that operates our body without us having to control the operation. It's like breathing, heart rate, digestion, elimination, etc. The autonomic nervous system is also the primary mechanism in control of our fight, our flight, or our freeze response. So when someone is feeling scared or threatened, they're either going to fight back, they're going to run, or they're going to go, freeze, right? Like a deer in the headlights. So the autonomic nervous system is responsible for this fight, flight, or freeze response. Now, this autonomic nervous system has two branches. And these two branches are either going to turn on the stress response, fight, flight, or freeze, or they're going to turn off the stress response. So relaxation, right? And the two branches are the sympathetic nervous system, that's the stress response, and the parasympathetic nervous system, and that's the relaxation response. So for the sake of simplicity, I'll just refer to it as a stress response and the relaxation response. And the important thing for us to know is that all sickness happens in the stress response, in the sympathetic nervous system. All sickness happens there. All healing happens in the parasympathetic, in the relaxation response. And so let me just give you an example of this and how it plays out in our digestive issues, which is useful because 60 to 70 million Americans are affected by digestive issues. So when it comes to digestion, what happens? When the stress response turns on, all of a sudden the body's stressed, the stress response turns on, digestion turns off. It has to, because if a bear is coming after you, your body's like, no, we don't have time to digest a Snickers bar right now. We got to run or we gonna die, okay? So your body's gonna reroute blood from your stomach to your brain for quick thinking, to your arms and legs for quick moving. It's gonna create adrenaline and cortisol. It's gonna increase your heart rate. It's gonna dilate your pupils. It's gonna create shallow breathing. And it's gonna get your body into the state of high alert. So you can run, so you can fight. It can even allow you to freeze, okay? That's a lot. But here's the important thing. The brain cannot differentiate the difference between real and imagined stress. So you could be having the experience of, I'm being chased by a bear, but it feels the same as, oh my God, I'm sitting in traffic and I'm late to pick up my kids from school, or your boss is yelling at you, or you're in a fight with a friend. So if you can imagine when you're eating, your brain can't tell the difference between real or imagined stress. You eat food, you're scarfing a turkey wrap at lunch, or you're in the car trying to eat like a sous vide egg from Starbucks, a really healthy thing. But when you're in a stress state, you've had the experience maybe of having food sit like a lump in your stomach, like it feels like a brick. That's what's happening because the stress response is on, digestion is off, and the body's like, no, 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 we can't digest right now. We've got to save ourselves. So the stomach is waiting for the relaxation response to kick back in again. And the body starts to feel like, oh, okay, you're safe. You're not about to get eaten. It's okay. We're going to lower the heart rate. We're going to go get everything back down to normal. Blood's going to go back to the digestive system again. And here we go. If you know of someone who has really skinny arms and legs and larger around their midsection, there's a pretty good chance that they're in a chronic state of either high or low stress. So what this means for healing, this is just an example, digestion, but what it means for healing is profound. And it means that good nutrition is only part of the equation when it comes to experiencing optimum health. Being in an ideal state to digest and assimilate food is the other half. Food is important, don't get me wrong, it's very important. But if you are able to get into a better state where you are reducing mental and emotional and spiritual stress, that actually goes a long way to helping that biological and chemical stress. It doesn't help entirely. There's still two parts to the formula: the state your body's in and the food you eat. And you can get pretty incredible results even if you don't change anything that you eat. If you can just learn to manage your level of stress and move from a stressed into a relaxation state when you are eating. There certainly are people who are eating the healthiest food, they're doing all the healthy things, and they're like, I don't understand, well, I'm not getting any better. And it's because it's only half the equation. You still have to reduce the biological and chemical stress, the mental and emotional stress, and the spiritual stress. And that's another reason why when life is stressful, that when we have stress coming at us from all angles, and especially in this uncertain time, that we have to double down on our self-care. Otherwise, the stress starts to eat us alive, and it's going to destroy the digestive system and the nervous system and the endocrine system and the immune system, and before you know it, your body is on full tilt. So even if you have a complex health issue or you have a family member that has a complex health issue, just remembering moving from a stress response to a relaxation response is the way to heal. That is the foundation of healing. So now, how do we do that? I have a whole toolbox of ways and means to do just that. But for now, let's talk about 3 ways to do that. How to move from a stress to relaxation using food. And we'll continue on for just a few more minutes here. So let's look at a couple of ways to use food to heal. And they're actually very quite simple. The first one is to balance blood sugar. So important. If we can just keep our bodies from having a biological high and a biological low crash, we're going to be in great shape. This is the main reason I hear repeatedly that so many people want more energy. So we have to potentially look at how are we causing exhaustion. And one of the ways could we could be doing that is by not managing our blood sugar. And the way to do that is by balancing macronutrients: carbs, proteins, and fats. Vitamins and minerals are your micronutrients. Carbs, proteins, and fats are your macronutrients. And balancing them in every meal or snack. And we could also talk about meal timing and making sure you're eating at regular intervals, because we like variety. Our bodies like routine. So the body wants to know, hey, I'm getting the fuel that I need and I know it's coming every 4 to 5 hours. So the way that I do that, balance my macronutrients, is with my personal clients, is something that I call the magic plate. And I will leave a link below this video to a download so you can have a copy of it. And basically, it's my answer to the MyPlate. The FDA's dietary suggestions, and you can look that up where they show suggestions of what to eat. But the thing about that is, government recommendations, they're not really meant for our health. They're meant to promote the profits of the food lobbyists who pour a ton of money into the government. So they'll say that dairy belongs on everybody's plates, when in reality, 70% of people all over the world cannot digest dairy. So really, pardon me, but I have very strong feelings about that. So what I have in my training is something called the magic plate. And the magic plate is a very simple way to balance your protein, carbs, and fats so that you're keeping your blood sugar stable at every meal and snack. So the link's below this video. You can check that out. Okay, let's go on to number 2. So now that you have a magic plate, you have a good balance of the macronutrients. What foods do you put on there? What proteins, what carbs, and what fats? And one thing I'd like to suggest, a simple way to look at that, is to focus on counting chemicals and not calories. The more we can decrease the toxic load on our bodies, the better. There are over, and the key word here is over, 77,000 man-made chemicals in the United States, and our bodies were not made to process that level of toxicity. If you were to go on Google and look up pictures of spraying pesticides on crops, you're going to see pictures of like hazmat suits. It's crazy. We're going to eat that food? It's nuts. So what ends up happening is that your liver just cannot keep up. It cannot detoxify all the chemicals that need to be detoxified. It can't filter the blood properly. So what we want to do is say, okay, I can't be in control of every environmental toxin in the world. That could make me crazy, but I am in control of what I eat. And am I always going to eat perfectly organic all the time? No. But if I'm able to do that more often than not, especially with like the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, and that you can also get from the Environmental Working Group, which is essentially a list of here's the foods that you should eat organic that have the highest pesticides, and here's a list of foods that really doesn't matter so much. If you're gonna eat them, it's okay to eat them conventional. And I also like to think of it like a spectrum. On this end of the spectrum, we have Farmer Jane's organic, homegrown, in season, backyard fruits and vegetables. And the other end of the spectrum, we have a can of Pringles potato chips, which is a list of 100 different chemicals, which none of them are actually potatoes. So on this spectrum, every time I eat something, where can I get closest? It isn't always going to be perfect to Farmer Jane's organic, backyard, in-season fruits and vegetables. Let's say I'm feeling like a donut today. Maybe a bran muffin would be better than a chocolate eclair filled with cream. Okay? Say I'm feeling like a cup of coffee this afternoon. Cheers. Maybe black coffee is better than a tutti frutti, rooty tooty, I don't even know what they're called. I don't go there. So, but we get to choose. not to load ourselves up with more toxins if we don't have to. And this is something that is so important to have a health coach who can teach you how to go from eating a toxic diet to a more whole foods, less processed diet, and not only for the sake of health, but to start to change the system because the consumer does have power. And if you notice in the food industry, I do because it's my industry, how much how many more organic, small batch, local, like non-GMO and lots of food manufacturers, big ones are purchasing small companies, places that produce products like that because consumers are demanding it. And every dollar you spend is a vote. So we can vote with our forks. And on to the third way to use food to move the body from a state of biological and chemical stress to a state of relaxation is something I call in my health coaching practice phasing in to phase out. And the concept of this is actually twofold. When you eat more high quality, real food, then that food is more nutrient dense. So when you eat it, your body is actually getting nutrients versus eating a lot of processed foods. The body's really not getting any nutrients. So it's going, I'm hungry, I need more, right? I can have a box of cookies, but my body doesn't feel satiated because it's still seeking the nutrition that it needs. And that's one of the biggest reasons we have so many obese people is that they're eating empty calories and our hunger mechanism will not shut down until our body's needs are nutritionally satisfied because I didn't actually have the nutrition that my body needs. You need healthy carbs, you need healthy fats, and you need healthy proteins. Just like a car, you can't run on just water or just gas. You need gas, you need oil, and you need water. But it has to be coupled with, and I say this is two-part, it has to be coupled with getting the body into a state of relaxation before you eat. So if you have high quality, real food, let's put the formula together. Magic plate, balance, carb, protein, fat at every meal and snack. Plus high quality food, less chemicals. Plus slowing down and getting the body into a state of relaxation when you eat. That's a really interesting formula, a real effective formula for how food can be a healing tool for the body in managing and improving your health and managing your stress. Will this heal everything? No. But a lot of people will get an enormous amount of benefit just from this sort of system. And as a health coach, I'm not a doctor, I'm not diagnosing, I'm not prescribing, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian. What I do is help people create the habit through psychology and brain science, which of eating in such a way that they're getting their body into the optimal state for healing to occur. We don't heal people anyways. The body wants to be healthy given the opportunity. The body heals itself, but we can help get the body into that optimal state. So here's the macros, here's the meal timing, here's the kind of food you want to choose. Here's how you slow down and let your body relax so you can assimilate the nutrients that you're eating. Now you have a whole new experience with food and a whole new way of feeling good. And by the way, this kind of formula that I'm sharing with you will optimize for more energy as well. Because now you're not dealing with blood sugar craziness and you're helping your body digest more efficiently, so you're not using up all of its energy trying to digest your food either. So that's all I'm going to say about this for today. And please, I'd love to hear from you with what's resonating with you. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to DM me personally. And thank you for listening. It's my passion, and I know there's a lot you could be doing with your day today. So I am honored to have spent this time with you. To your best life ever. Namaste.